Hey, there we go.
Hello.
Second time's the charm. All right.
Hey.
Hi. How's it going,
Hi.
Brooke?
Yeah, what's up?
It's good. It's a little warm in here. I'm not going to lie. So if you see me start to sweat,
Yeah, you said you went over to the AC.
yeah, I'm in my garage where I walked in and I thought this is kind of my studio, but
Yeah.
when it's just too hot, it's too hot. So, but I'm
Well,
just like trying to will the cooler weather by sitting in here. So,
yeah,
Yeah,
you're in
nice.
South Carolina right now. So how is it a lot warmer there than it is here?
no, I don't think so. I think it's the same, but every time I come there, it feels better.
Hey, it's better over
I
here.
think because this is
It
the
is.
low country, it's very
Yeah,
swampy and like dense here.
it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, South Carolina is usually a little hotter, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's just damp.
yeah.
That
Charleston
makes
is
sense.
nice
So
though. I used to get out there a lot.
Charleston's nice. Yeah. I like Charleston. I don't feel like a calling to go hang out there, but I like it when I'm there. But if somebody invites me, I go. But yeah,
Yeah, it's like
it's
yeah.
not Athens to me.
It's not. Well,
Hey, there we
yeah.
go.
Athens,
Why
Athens is different for me. I have
why
always
is
felt.
Athens different? Tell
Yeah,
us so we can share with the world.
Well, look, let's not share this with anyone. Anthony and I talked about this. We're like, let's
yeah.
not let the secret out.
So we can't let too many people come over here, and like
Fair
just
enough.
ruin
Fair
Athens.
enough.
Well, I think maybe just like every other place in the world, Athens speaks to a specific type of person. And so I think if you have that kind of sensibility and feeling about you, you match with places or you don't match with places. And I have always felt like I match. Whenever I'm there, I just feel really comfortable. The crazy synchronicities happen when I'm there, like wild stuff, like wild, just breadcrumb type stuff. It's like, oh, this was left for me. Oh, that was left for me. I'll go here. I'll do this. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure it'll all go south at some point, but for now, it's yeah.
Well,
No, it's always been a really magical place for me.
it is a magical
Same,
place.
yeah. I feel you on those serendipitous moments where it's just like, whoa, like that's been happening to me the last 2 weeks. It's just like one day, one conversation, one day leads to something the next, which leads to the next, and it's like, whoa, like breadcrumbs, like you said. Yeah,
Right. And I think it can happen anywhere. And I think what's super important is when it starts to happen is just to notice it, for me anyway. When
Mhm.
I notice when things like that, and you also notice when it's the opposite, when you're like, why isn't this working? I tried to do this way, and da 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 da, and like, that pushing it to force things to happen. Everything's so hard, and as much as I love Los Angeles, and it's like, ugh, I miss my people and my friends. That's how I started to feel there. It was like everything was so difficult.
Yeah, how long were you in LA?
I was born and raised in New York. I went to college at the University of Southern California when I was 17. And then I lived in both LA and New York from age 17 to 28, on and off. And then I moved to London for 5 years. And then I came back to New York, and then I went back to California. So the last time I was in California, I had just gotten over Lyme disease after 30 years of Lyme disease, which the both of you know, which is do that story another time.
Yeah.
But when I got better, I was like, I'm going back to LA. I'm going to do all the things. And I got in my car and I shot a documentary and I drove back there, and then the pandemic hit. So it was like from Lyme disease to the pandemic. Then my dad got sick. I was flying back and forth. I got divorced in the middle of it. Then my dad passed away, and then all the strikes hit. After about 5 years of all of that happening, I was like, maybe it's time to go somewhere where it's easier to live.
Yeah.
That's a lot in a
I
very
mean,
short period of time.
goodness.
It was a lot. So now I'm here and I'm recuperated. And when I went to Athens, so look, in being here in South Carolina, it's because my family's here and I wanted life to be easier. And I think it's very hard as an actor to leave a big city where you've gone to make it. I think a lot of actors struggle with this. Artists, musicians, writers, directors, producers, the biz.
Yeah.
Leaving the lifestyle of like the struggling artist is really hard for people. And someone said it's like Stockholm syndrome. You're like, but I love being a tortured artist. I love it. I love how bad my life is. And you just don't realize it. And I'm not saying everybody's life.
About that a little more, because I was actually thinking about that today. Like, there is this misconception that in order to succeed, you must be a starving artist.
Right.
We have to struggle for our art, or like you're doing something wrong. But like it's not supposed to be easy or fun or like, what's with that?
Lora, again, ever since I met you, I've had synchronicities, and you're bringing up my slogan for my studio is Studio PCI, always hungry, never starving. Because I believe in being hungry for things, but I don't believe in the starving artist paradigm. And there is a balance that we all have to, well, we don't have to, but the best thing that I've found to do is to walk the fine line between not being so comfortable and that I get complacent and my art gets boring or my life gets boring, but also not being so dangerously like flailing and throwing caution to the wind and not being able to pay my bills and not being able to take care of myself. That's the starving paradigm to me. But then the opposite side of that is like, it's all good. I have a full bank account. I don't need to do anything. I've already created stuff. I'm not feeling very inspired. There's that middle line that's like, how do I stay hungry but not like die? Not put myself in harm's way, really. Yeah. And I think every actor, every musician, every writer, every director, everyone who's pursuing a career in the arts has that struggle at some point where they're like, how do I make a living out of this? And then once I'm comfortable in my living, should I get to that point, how do I stay hungry for creativity?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because then you have to keep creating, right? I mean, you got to always continue.
And a lot of times inspiration comes from the struggle.
Yeah.
But isn't that like a false idea that like it has to come from the struggle? Like we have
agreed.
And it's like, I do think that like it could be easy. Like it's that we put this mental block on ourselves that in order to do X, you have to struggle or you have to do, but that's just us creating false stories, right? Like it can be easy.
Agreed. And life gives you enough struggle as it is. You don't have to make it worse for yourself. Being human is like, isn't that enough that we have to like deal with these bodies and the weather and personalities and natural disasters and mean people? And there's enough. So yeah, as much as I love Los Angeles, I was like butting heads with it as an entity. So I just feel like it's maybe not my time. I lived there throughout all of the 90s and was a working actor during that time. And it was very special. And all my people who lived there, who I worked with, who I went to USC with, USC, Southern California, they're all very special humans. And we all kind of see each other at various points and, reconvene. But when I got here, I was like, I don't want to go back to LA right now. It's not working for me. I don't want to go back to New York. It's too expensive and cold at the moment. Maybe at some point I'll be wanting cold and I'll be rich. You know what I mean? Like things change.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so I was like, where can I live that ticks all the boxes? And the boxes for me might be very different for another person. But I want to be near a city where I can be acting and shooting and collaborating. So Atlanta, tick, tick, tick. I want to be near enough to nature that it's not an entire day trip for me to go somewhere special. Athens, drive anywhere an hour out. Even in Athens, it's just beautiful. But somewhere where I know people, which I did know people before I started like making all these visits. I have friends there from my past. But the second I got there, I had like 500 other friends because of you guys.
Hey,
I mean, seriously, I was like, why do these people like me so much?
Because you're
nice. I think it's because I like them so much.
Yeah, it also helps when you're nice to people,
I know, but I think also we just feel like, there's a special connection somehow, whatever it is. Synchronicities like you talk about, they keep happening.
Yes, but I want to just comment on what I just said. Why do these people like me so much? Okay, let's just dissect the psychology of a person that would actually say that. I am used to living somewhere where like the go-to isn't friendly connection. And this is not to judge LA as a city or anyone living in it, because I'm part of the culture I'm about to talk about. We're all walking around like afraid of being judged. So we judge other people, and it's like a very scared place. And the only reason I existed and survived for so long there is because my core group of people from the 90s are like my solid family. But the like community at large, the city at large, it's a really hard place to walk around. It didn't used to be like that. People used to describe New York like that, you know? Mm-hmm. But then, so in Athens, the vibe, I keep saying to like people I talk to, I'm like, is the other shoe going to drop? Like, everyone's been so friendly. The creative community there is astonishing to me. And it's a real creative community. Again, there are pockets in Los Angeles and in New York. It's very difficult to pay your rent and exist. And then you're always working so hard, you can't go support other people. I knew people for 5 minutes in Athens, and I was like, do you want to go see the flying squid thing on Thursday? They're like, sure. I don't even know these people. And they showed up. You know, it's just like a very supportive place so far.
I've heard it
stays that way.
Anyway, you know, some people that I knew that went out there, some creatives, and they still come back to Athens on their breaks and all that. It's like, yeah, you know, I'm just here for like a week or a few days, but I'm going back to LA. It sucks, but you know, I'm out there, and it's just it's like, so what? But you're back here. Okay.
Yeah, really... and if they're saying it sucks too, it's like there is a mentality that's like, it sucks and I'm gonna manage it. You know, I'm gonna get through this suckiness until it gets good. And then like the next thing you know, your life has sucked for like 7 to 8 years, sometimes 20, you know? Well, and you don't want to put a time limit on it. Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think just piggybacking on that, it's also just, I've noticed here when you say, you know, we go out and network and all that, and people are really friendly, and they're like, come see this show, you know, come see this screening, or, you know, follow me, I do this cool podcast. And, you know, you really have a connection with them.
Right.
But then I hear that in LA, it's more just like everywhere you go, everyone's trying to really do a pitch. And then it's like, that's kind of it. It's very transaction.
Yeah.
Would you say the same?
Yes. I used to think that was like a stereotype because my group of people is not like that. But it is actually what I found in the last 5 years that I lived there. I was like, this has become that thing that people were warning me about. And, you know, you kind of have to exist in a bubble, or you like live in Santa Monica by the beach and don't go into the city, or, you know, you live right near your job so that you can walk to and from wherever you're going and submit your auditions on tape, and you live with 6 people. And like, you know, I got over living with 6 people a long time ago. And like, I think if I were in my 20s, I still wouldn't mind. It would be fine. But once you have standards.
Hey, well, I'm in my 20s. I can't live with like more than another person.
But so
I get you.
You weren't here because you were in South Carolina. So last week, we had our first little women in film casual get together here in Athens. I don't know. Maybe there were 10 to 12 of us. We went to Hilo, which you may or may not have gone to yet.
I know where it is. Yeah, I walked by it.
Yeah, and it was a table full of all sorts of, so like there were actors, there were location scouts, there were screenwriters, there were producers, makeup artists, all sorts of people who've all, half the table, at least, all came from LA. And they all ended up here, most of them because they chose to come here. Not because of, and like they all had some spurring thing where like a project fell apart or people in LA were too mean or whatever. But they chose to actually relocate here. And someone, I remember she's like, I don't really know why we chose to come here, but we did. And don't regret it. Don't ever regret it. And so I do think there is a unique, like, I wish you'd been there. We'll have another one. Don't worry. Because
this keeps happening. Like I the fact that I don't live there yet is very frustrating, but go on.
Oh no, but just like this feeling of like, it's different here. It's different here. And some people also lived in New York. Like I've lived in New York and stuff too. And I love New York. I just need to be wealthy to live in New York.
Right.
Is that terrible? I just said this on a camera, but you agree. I'm like, I've been recording it. I don't want to live with 6 people in a apartment where, you know,
But yeah, it's really cool that, I mean, Laura's been making a lot of these events and connecting people, and we've been noticing this trend where people are wanting to come over here to Georgia. They want to work, and I think after the pandemic, that kind of was just like the big Yahtzee canister for the world. Everything just changed after that. And we're seeing that things are moving. So we also wanted to see your opinion on where the industry is moving, like how we can positively change it, so it's not just us scrapping for a role, and being starving artists all the time.
Yeah, I don't feel like the Southeast is scrapping. I mean, it's a huge player, that whole region is. And again, there are so many cities in and around Atlanta. You've got Charlotte and all the surrounding areas. You've got Charleston and all the surrounding areas. You've got Nashville not too far away and all the surrounding areas. There's so many places where people can set up shop and work from now. And, I was talking to my friend Michael, who's a filmmaker and an actor, the other day, and I was just telling him, I'm going to be moving to Athens. And he's like, you don't need to live in New York or LA. And he goes, at some point, all the projects do come through there. He goes, to be shown or to be pitched or to be, he's like, but you certainly don't have to live there. You don't have to shoot there. Like, it's just a thing of the past. It's hard, I think, for people to swallow that pill. Like, you need to be around the culture. But I'm just saying, for me, that the culture feels stronger in a place where I'm happier. Why wouldn't it? I mean, if you're resonating at a higher vibe, you're going to attract better things. Whereas if you're struggling and suffering somewhere, you're going to be surrounding yourself with that, unfortunately.
Hey,
they say your vibe attracts your tribe, right? Isn't that the quote?
Oh, I like that. Yeah,
it's true. Yeah.
Speaking of those moments, that's something I think, personally, I've been struggling with. Just like, I want to be around the culture. Like, I want to be there. Like, that's how I'll, get projects and all that. And then with these last few months, we've been doing this here in Athens, just finding the people that want to work. And it's like, whoa, like, it's a happier vibe here. We're getting more stuff done.
And there's a lot of people.
Yeah. And they're great people here. I mean, like, not just people that have moved in, but people that have been here for years wanting to get something done. We know a few actors that, they drive out to Atlanta. Skip, he's been going out there just like for a few years, but even he's like, I'd like to stay in Athens and do some stuff around here. It'd be cool if there was some more projects.
We should
I think it's
workshop. So you should actually talk about that too. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we talking about first here? What are we talking about?
The acting workshop? About that first, and then we can transition to maybe how doing your class here is helping to contribute to this like upper spiral of like creative development for actors and filmmakers here in Athens, and why that is vital to meet those people and work on your skills in the same space.
Yeah, I hope it is vital for people. That's like, let's be honest, it's like, so no one knows who I am here. So I'll explain a little bit about why I could potentially be qualified to teach. So let me give some of my qualifications, if they matter, and let people understand that I, grew up as an actor. I started when I was 10. So I've been working professionally since I was a 10-year-old living in New York. I called a manager myself and said, hi, I want to act. And she said, can you sing? And I was like, yes, I am currently in Peter Pan. So I sang.
Say that.
Huh?
I said, you got crazy high notes. I'll say that.
So yeah, right, from that thing. So I sang, and she goes, I'll never forget this. She goes, do you know you have vibrato? And I was like, I don't know what that is. Anyway, so I was a gymnast when I was little, and I saw a commercial on TV with gymnasts flipping in it, and I was like, why am I not in that? So that's when I called up Anyway, so I've had a manager since I was 10, and then just auditioned, and then
she's the telephone.
Pick up the phone. I'm telling
you.
You
would give me a whole lecture. I'm afraid of the telephone.
Oh, so was my mom.
It wasn't a lecture. He was actually giving me encouragement on why the phone is actually a very useful skill. And I should use the phone. And because I used the phone, we found this amazing space that we are currently recording in. So,
there you go. So after being, an actor my whole life, and I went to theater high school in New York, and then I graduated and went to the University of Southern California, where I have a BFA in acting from. And the day I graduated, I booked work on a television series out there. I hustled, I look back and I'm like, God, I was so lucky. And I'm like, no, I worked like very hard. I picked up the phone. I made connections. I went, just like I met you guys. I'm like, I'm going to this Athens Film Fest and I'm going to go meet people. And here we are, it's because you take the step to do something. So,
and thank you for volunteering too. Like, you are huge. You're huge.
Well, I'm a big believer in volunteering and being of service. I think it's what makes the world go round. And I think anyone who doesn't have that as a big part of their lives is missing out. But so I worked in television for a long time in LA, and then I got very ill, which is a huge part of why I'm qualified to teach, because having things ripped out from under you and having things not go as planned when you are awarded the thing that everyone's after, which is a spot on a TV show in your 20s, right? So at the time, right, this is, we're all in LA striving to get the thing, and I got the thing right away.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the thing, and then as time's going by and I'm on set, I notice like I'm dripping with sweat, I'm aching, I'm like shaking, it was just this terrible, it's very difficult to explain Lyme disease. And that's, again, another topic, but to have been pushing through that all the while and adding that struggle on top of what a regular actor goes through to get a job, you get the job, big deal. Like, you still have to show up and do the work. And I was really suffering. And then I spent 10 to 15 years of my life after that undiagnosed and very unwell, and moved back to New York and constantly trying to be on Broadway, getting to the very end and not getting the part. And, all the casting directors. Yeah. And I was like, I look back and I'm like, thank God I did not get cast. I probably would have died because I just wouldn't have been able to do it. But after leaving the business because I was too ill, I had to shift my life in a different direction. Now, I always kept my SAG card and my equity dues up because
oh, wow.
It seems so insignificant, but I'm like, I will not let this go.
No, yeah.
I worked really hard to get these things and I will be back. So I paid my dues. And then I went and I have a master's degree in creative and cultural entrepreneurship from Goldsmiths University of London. And the reason that matters to me, we've talked a little bit about this, Lora, is because I watched so many actors become depressed, turn to substance abuse, try to navigate their lives in ways that were so counterproductive and really unhealthy and toxic. And it happens all the time. We're very sensitive creatures. We feel things at heightened levels. And a lot of times actors just fall into that self-abuse path. And for a long time, there was like this string of deaths right before I was doing my master's degree with like Heath Ledger and Brittany Murphy. Like, people just kept dying. And lovely Corey Monteith from Glee, it was just like, oh my God, boom, boom, boom. And Whitney Houston was during that time. And I was just like, oh my God, why does this keep happening? So that's why I studied what I studied, which is holistic arts education, trying to devise a way to teach actors to take care of themselves, to take care of their finances, and pursue their craft and hone their skills and work healthily and sustainably. So those are the things that I like to teach in terms of the business and how to approach life. But in terms of acting, I was reading, I've been doing a lot of reading of other people's bios and stuff. And my approach is this, and Meisner and Stanislavski. And I'm like, I don't really have a name for how I teach or a way to describe my philosophy, which I can only say this because I've been teaching a lot of new stuff here lately. what I do is I walk into a room and I just meet people where they're at. And there's a lot of exercise work and a lot of like self-exploration work. I love teaching people how to break down a script and identify with it, even if you aren't an ex-con getting out of jail who has murdered 16 people and somehow got off scot-free. You have no way to personalize with that. I guarantee you there's something in your life where you can feel like you have gotten away with murder and are the luckiest person in the world. And depending on that, if that character is actually truly evil or not, there are ways for us to sort of identify with the emotions and the feelings and the experiences that everyone goes through as a human. It's just how we act out. I'm sure I've had like, you know, terrible, sad feelings in my life and guilt and things that could all lead me, if I had that bone, that DNA in my body, to commit crimes. I don't, luckily. Who knows what it is in somebody's psyche, but not to go too much into that. Like, for example, like you are playing somebody who is an Olympic gold medalist who then gets injured and the Olympics is 5 days away and that thing gets taken away from you. Well, you could just put any one of 60 billion scenarios into that to get the same feeling as the person. So I really teach from a place of like, how do we identify with each other? And what are the pieces of you that are the pieces of everybody else? And then you just simply don't have to lie.
Will this have a film focus, or is this just, like you said, holistic, all the way acting? Someone that's a theater actor, someone that's
nope.
an actor.
Definitely have a film focus. So
film focus, beautiful.
The hard thing for me as a big New York theater actor was learning how to get still enough to be on camera. Now I'm gonna.
It sounds like someone I know.
Oh, you think? I'm gonna admit right here, like I'm still not the best at that. I'm a great coach, though.
Not as I do.
Yeah, no, but sometimes the best, in my experience, the best teachers, like I am not going to be able to. This is yoga analogy. I literally cannot do a handstand in the middle of the room. I just can't. Someday maybe I will. I don't know. I've lived this long and I can't. But I can teach anybody else how to get up into handstand, even though I can't do it, because I've tried so many times to learn how to do it. I know, like,
right.
It's easy for me to identify where the other person's problem is.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it also is, you might not just be a good handstander, but you're a great teacher.
Of course. And that's why I asked, just because I think that's needed around here. I mean, there are a lot of theater actors in Athens, but a lot of them have expressed wanting to get into film. Total different ball game.
Yeah, we don't have any camera classes in Athens at all.
No, yeah, and even the few ones that I've taken recently, it's like, whoa, this is just a whole other world. I mean, even just your self-tapes, like setting up and all that. Will you be teaching?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. You know, it doesn't even have to be the most mind-bending teacher on the planet. Just gathering in a room with other like-minded actors who have an interest in TV and film acting and going through half of it's just going through the motions because you're not doing it on a regular basis. So if you are wanting to submit or you are wanting to get an agent or, you know, this is the kind of work you want to be doing, just showing up to do it, that's like not even half, it's like 80% of the battle. The other 20% is stand still, don't use your hands, look over here, say your lines. You know, it's like, obviously, the deeper the scene work or the more genre specific the scene work is. Like if we're doing multicam, it's a whole different thing. If we're doing procedural drama, it's very different from doing, you know, just a regular serial drama. If you're doing single cam comedy, the humor is so different than that slapstick big stuff that we get to do in multicam. Yeah, Anthony, what are you going to say?
I'm already signed up, so I'm excited for this.
I was telling him because I went to Emory for my undergrad degree in theater. I went to the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco, and I studied at the Atlantic Acting School. And I think in all three of those programs, I probably had a total of 6 hours total of like on camera.
Yeah, it's interesting. I privately coach a lot of people, and a lot of my students in New York who come out of conservatory programs are like, I'm signing with an agent and they want me to do a self-tape. They don't really even know what it is. And I'm like, they've obviously seen it happen, or maybe they haven't seen it happen, but they know in their mind, like, oh, I have to submit an audition. Like, man, it is an art. There are specifics to it. There is an industry standard. Don't get me started. I guess I understand why the industry needs your headshots to look a certain way and needs your self-tapes to be a certain way. And if you veer outside of the rules, it's very much frowned upon. I get it. They're watching and seeing thousands of these things, literally thousands. Right. And they want everybody to have the sort of same parameters. So it's fair, really. And so it's easier for them to ingest all of this and be like, yes, yes, no, no, yes. But it does become a skill for the actor. You are now a filmmaker. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Say that again, because, right.
Say that louder for the people in the back.
People, I mean, they say it, I think.
You are now a filmmaker, whether you like it or not.
You heard it here first, folks.
For example, we could be doing this podcast like this, and that would not be very great for anybody to watch. It's a simple fix. All you have to do is move something. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not trained as actors to do that unless you're a filmmaker already, which all three of us have the luxury and the joy of being and being involved in. But it's still not filmmaking. It's self-tape making. You got to know how to light. You have to know what to have in your background. You have to know where to look. You have to know how to frame. It stinks.
It's a cool skill. I mean, I get giddy on it. I love it.
I love it too, but I'm saying for people who don't, how many actors do you know that are like, man, I just want to act. I don't want to do the business stuff. I don't want an Instagram handle. Get me away from social media.
He trips himself up. I'm like, just post on Instagram.
I gotta post.
And he's like, overthinks it. And I'm like, no, you just have to post. Tomorrow, everyone will forget what you posted today.
Oh, God, that's nauseating. Tomorrow, everyone will forget. Yeah.
I'm so sorry to say that. But like,
it's true.
It's horrible.
I know.
It's a game. It's
no
a game.
one taught financial literacy to me. No one taught marketing. I will tell you, my website is crap because I don't know what to do with it, and it's overwhelming to me. Like, I need to take actionable small steps, but instead, I just am like, ugh.
That's the thing. There's a sense of overwhelm for so many people, and what is the biggest antidote to overwhelm is community.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. And that is sadly what's lacking in Los Angeles now. We all want to be a community there, and you have an extended mental community, but there is a lack of in-person, not because of the pandemic. It was happening before. That lack of, yes, I'll be there for you. Yes, I can be. And I don't slight anyone for it. It's a hard city to survive in, and you're driving everywhere and you're paying through the nose to live in something decent.
Yeah.
And so going back to the class, it's like, just get up and do it. Don't think about it. Don't, am I good enough to be in the class? I don't have enough experience. I meet everyone exactly. It does not matter how good you are, how trained you are. There will be better actors in there than I am. I'm a good teacher, and I show up where you need to, where you're at, and I help lead people to where their best is. And the reason I feel like I can do that well, and I'm proud of it, is because of how my life flatlined. It was so hard. And when you are in a place where you have to be so conscious of every single thing that you do, because you're getting knocked down so easily from like, oh, I inhaled through the wrong side of my mouth. I'm going to remember not to do that next time. It's like, but I'm breathing. I've had to pay such close attention to the balance of my life. And I spent a lot of time around a lot of other people who were very seriously unwell, helping them and helping each other. Again, community is how I got through being unwell. And when you have enough people around you who are paying that close attention to what works and what doesn't work, and what that boils down to is like, what's underneath? Oh, that doesn't feel well. Why? What's underneath that? When you heal naturally in the way I did, there's just root cause. What's underneath? And that's an actor is like, yeah, but what's underneath? Yeah, but what's underneath? Yeah, but why does she feel like that? Yeah, but why did he say that? Yeah, but why didn't she leave? Yeah, but why? And then you get to the bottom and it's like, oh, this is a different part than I thought it was. That's the work I help people do because I know how to do it because I was sadly personally trained. So, and like, that's the gratitude of having had all of those years of my life. You can be like, why did this happen to me? I could have stayed sick. I make a lot of decisions on the regular that people are like, why do you do that? You like that? I'm like, I like it because it makes me feel good. I'm not choosing it because, like I'm gluten free because gluten doesn't make, it's not trendy for me to be gluten free. Gluten is, something that makes me feel bad. So I don't do it.
Yeah.
I don't really drink alcohol. And if I do, I'm in a really good place mentally and physically. I don't drink alcohol to forget about my problems or to make my physical pain go away. If I could, I probably would, but that doesn't work for me. So I don't do it. And I have simply been beaten up enough to come to a point where it's like, choose what works. That's all an actor really has to do is make strong choices and stand behind them. That's it. So I help people make those choices because I feel like I can see a lie. And we all can. Everybody can.
Yes.
No, it's
you can tell when someone's lying.
When someone is speaking from their truth and they're being authentic, you can see it. But when it's like that rehearsed, overly like fake, whatever, it's trying too hard, you can feel that coming like a stinky diaper.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with it. I do it all the time. I'll probably watch this back and be like, oh my God, why am I screaming? Every podcast I do, I'm like, why are you screaming?
You're not
screaming.
You're not screaming. You were
I'm so animated.
You were just being enthusiastic.
That's true. And I do have to often remind myself to breathe and slow down. And that's another thing.
Are you talking to me? Is this me? Are you me at this moment? That's what I'm told too.
That's another thing. You, Lora, no, I'm kidding. Yeah, but my point is to like not feel bad if you're one of those people who thinks that they're not being authentic enough. I'm not authentic enough to show up. I'm not authentic enough to do my podcast. I'm not authentic enough to be an actor. I'm still not sure. That's why you go to class. That's why you participate in things. That's why you volunteer. I once heard Renee Zellweger on an interview. I think she was on Oprah, and Oprah was interviewing her during like the time where she did Chicago, Renee. Mm-hmm. And she was like, what do you miss about being a regular person? What has fame kind of taken from you in that way? Or how has it changed your life? And I think, I don't want to mangle what she said, but it was something to the effect of, I really miss just being able to be around other people because that's how I learn how I'm doing in my life. And that's sweet. Yeah. Just by conversing with people, you get to understand how are you showing up as a person in life. And I swear to God, a week later, I was on like doing a tour with my partner, Lori, at the time. And Renee Zellweger's in the airport getting off her airplane. I was like, oh my God, that's so weird. I just saw her in this thing. She like wanders into baggage claim with everyone, waiting for her bags. And we're like, wait, is that really her? Because there's no security or anything. She's this tiny little thing. Everyone left her alone. And the second we got outside, blew up with flashes and, paparazzi. But yeah, it was a really interesting little synchronistic moment where I heard her and I was like, I got you, Renee, I got you. And then I saw her get off the plane and that's it. That's my story.
Yeah, no, I've heard of that too. That was it's a really cool documentary I saw back in college because I went to school for music. They were talking about background. Yeah.
Do you want to sing for us live? You can sing for right now. There's a guitar right there.
You want?
Oh my
do,
God.
You want to hear
Whoa.
him sing?
Well, but,
Do you want to sing spontaneously? Sorry, tell your story.
I have my guitar here too. We can do a
hey,
show.
what you got? What kind of music you like playing?
What do I like playing? Wait, stop. You were about to say you went to school for music.
you're-
What were you
Oh,
saying?
I interrupted you.
It was basically just they get to experience all the fame. It's called 6 feet from stardom. They're right there, but
Yeah.
they can still go to the grocery store. They have mansions,
Yeah.
they to them and all that, but no one's really you don't put on shades or a hat. You can
Mm.
still and enjoy life. And I was like,
Mm.
anyway.
Yeah. I really just would love to get to a point which I'm pretty much almost there, where I feel just content with how I live my life, and I have a creative group of humans, and I'm working at a level where I feel excellency. I don't care what anybody else feels or thinks, but where I feel I'm participating in something excellent. I don't enjoy mediocrity. Just so you know.
Does anybody? Well, I guess that's not true.
Yes.
Lots of people live their
Some
life.
people strive to be in the middle.
Yeah, you're right.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Is that I have a question then going.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
as an
I'll try to
artist,
accept that.
as an artist, and as like, is that?
Nothing wrong.
But maybe that's it. So like for me, like I am not satisfied. Like I want to find a way to like live this authentic, artistic, creative life while paying my bills. And I am
Mhm.
not someone who's in, having health insurance, which I currently don't have. Would be all these things would be wonderful. And I'm not happy with mediocrity. Like I could just take a boring office job from 9 to 5 and sit there and say like I give up on this part of me, and that is whatever. But I physically can't. Like I would get sick. I would feel terrible. I would be depressed. Is that? Do we think that's like the unique? Like that's what the differentiation is, or are all these people like in what makes an artist finally keep going? Or I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here, but like
No, I hear you. And I think you don't necessarily have to, I think all artists do have that, but I think other than artists also have it. And you don't just have to it's not just limited to the arts. I think it's like expands to seekers and questioners. So, for example, like a scientist or someone in the medical field who truly wants to be in the medical field and is in it for the greater good. Like not stopping, I mean, you think about like Einstein and people who powered through being told no and being told they were crazy and just defeat, and who were like, but if I go the other way where this thing is trying to pound me into, life is trying to push me back. So I think this is where like the real work comes in, which is what we were talking about at the top of this, which is how do I maintain the vision? And it's not even a vision, it's a feeling of being a part of a bigger picture, right? Would you describe it like that? Like you're a part of like something at work in the universe. And so to shut that off, which is what you do need to do as an artist to exist in somebody else's like paradigm and creation, you can't be in pursuit of, or not even pursuit, I hate that word, but like in connection with that vibe while you are working for somebody else's dream. It's difficult. I guess people do it, but it's difficult.
Yeah.
And then you can't audition, you can't leave. I'm leaving I'm doing, a Christmas Carol for 2 months in Hilton Head. I'll be back. Like that doesn't work in a real job. So it's two very different ways of life. And I think the challenge is for the people in the job, I don't know. I couldn't function like that. So I'll probably, I don't think that will never happen. It's like, but then the
for hours
challenge,
yeah.
What?
No, just like the idea of sitting at a desk for hours at a day trapped for a time. Like that just sounds horrible to me.
But the reason it sounds like a trap to you is because this other, like some people don't have the connection to the other side, like that other world of creativity and the way things, And they'll be like, I wish I could do that, but it's just never been me. And they need to go to work. They need someone to tell them what to do. They need the paycheck. They need the consistency. For us, I do think, well, I was going to say, for us, we some of those needs cross over. And I think the hardest thing for an actor to do, I'm really bad at this, I'm trying to get better, and for an artist to do is give themselves a schedule.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I only have to do a self-tape. I'll do it at 2 so I can sleep in until blah, blah, blah. And like, oh, I didn't exercise today. I wonder why, because I didn't have a plan. Oh my God, I forgot to eat dinner. And it's like, it's very hard to be like, I get up at this time, I eat at this time, I go to bed at this time, especially when in 5 seconds you could get a phone call. They're like, you booked it. And you're like, I guess I'll be on a flight tomorrow at 3 a.m. and then I'll have to be on set. And then your whole life changes and then it ends on a dime and you have to readjust to a new time situation. So we just have to be really malleable and adaptable. And I think some people are built that way, but I also think it's a challenge for the people who are in that line of work, or not even work, that realm of experience where you're like, I have something to say. I have something to add. I have powers. It's like if I like stunt this, I'm going to get ill. For those people, downtime and quiet time are essential because you have to walk away from it. This is where the answer is. The downtime and the quiet time have to be created by you so that illness, tragedy, not mistakes, but just problems that don't necessarily need to happen don't start invading your life 24/7, because there always has to be a balance. And if you're not bringing balance, the outside world will. It's just science. So I have found, and I'm just starting to like actually take this seriously this year, which Lora, I know you have a yoga practice and it's like a grounding force for you. And it really should be taught to every artist, meditation and yoga. And if it's not that
Aren't you
for
a
you,
meditation teacher?
yes, I am a meditation teacher, a certified meditation teacher.
Sorry.
Yes. And look, it's still hard for me to meditate. I like having a consistent practice is difficult for me. Sorry, it's not hard to meditate. Having a consistent practice is difficult for me. I'm like the most rebellious of the most rebellious.
I feel that.
Pretty much. But my point is, when I don't ask myself, I was going to say force myself, then I chose ask myself. I'm going to throw both those words out the window. And when I don't offer myself the opportunity to quiet down and be still, something else will do it for me. And it does not feel good generally.
Action, the universe will take action for you.
Yes, if you don't grow, your body will grow something for you.
The case in point, I can't actually hear out of my right ear because I did 15 million things and I got sick and I didn't rest and I was in a stage reading. You'll remember this. And I went to the doctor and I got all the medicine and I was going to push through it. I was working full time at that time as well. And luckily I did have health insurance then. And no, I completely woke up with blood out of my ear, ruptured my eardrum horribly. And because of stuff as a kid and things, like I don't have capacity of hearing now in the side unless there's like some surgery that might fix it. I just live with it. But it was literally like I just kept going and 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 like ignoring. And then it was like, well, ha 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 ha, now you can't even walk in a straight line. So you've got no choice but to.
Yeah, and funny how you weren't listening. Sorry, but
that is actually very powerful. I didn't stop and think about it, but yes. And now I have to listen extra hard to everything.
Do you know Louise Hay?
Yeah.
I do know Louise Hay. I used to have, I don't have them anymore. I left them, but I had several of her books and I read a lot of her books when that's a different conversation, but yes, before I came here.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. It's all very real for me. Back to the class.
Yes, back to the class.
So my statement to people considering joining. That's a lot. Can you guys hear that loud noise in here? It was really weird. So my statement to people considering joining is, well, my questions are, why wouldn't you? It's like, what could be bad about coming into a room with other focused artists who want to improve their skills, meet other people, and raise their vibration? So there's really no downside. I also, want to say, if money is an issue for people, that I definitely offer a student discount and work with people where they're at, because I don't think it should be something that keeps people from pursuing. I don't think people should take advantage of that. I think if you really are in a position where you need a little extra assistance, speak up. I think if you have money fears and a lack mentality, you need to toughen up and find the $75, put it down, and see what happens for your life. It's a commitment that you make for yourself, but don't let it stop you if that's the thing. And don't let fear of not being good enough, not being ready enough. How are you ever going to change that if you don't go to a class? Especially with someone who's not going to berate you and make you feel crappy about where you're at, which is not my style. So
thank you. Yes, we've all. Yeah,
Yeah, we don't like being berated.
We don't like that kind of.
No, and I would like to, give a plug to my studio in LA, where I was lucky enough to find a place to teach in Los Angeles that shares all of these philosophies. It was like I just walked into a space where somebody else had the same philosophy as I do about life and teaching, and all of the teachers there, that place is crazy. So at Zach Barnett Studios is where I was teaching for the past 7 years now. Gosh, it's been so long. 6 years. Studio. Zach Barnett Studios, and if you're an LA actor or wanting an online experience, it's a Hollywood acting studio. So if you are an actor wanting to move out to Los Angeles, I actually do highly recommend getting in an online class in order to meet people and see what it's like and understand the standards of another business or another city in the industry. And then before you know it, you're rolling on out to Hollywood, but just like for me, I did the reverse. I was like, let me meet the people in Athens. Let me talk to all the actors I can and meet casting directors. And I'm just meeting people. That's all you have to do, is take a step. I've been waving this pen around like it has some kind of power.
It is. I was thinking of it as like more of a magic wand.
Yeah.
I know. It's like a Harry Potter. So I really encourage people to take a step and to take a risk. And also, if you are, let's just say you're a very well-accomplished actor who can very much afford the class and doesn't need it, just come have fun. Come let me throw a script at you that you normally wouldn't do and challenge yourself, Right. Come help another actor figure out, wow, I'm way better at this than I thought because this awesome actor is opposite me right now. Like, so much can happen in a room when you show up, So don't limit yourself if you're an incredibly wonderful actor, because there will be some of us there. And don't limit yourself if you're a beginner, because you get to see all of that and experience it. And that's just how you grow.
Yes, we agree. And thank you.
Yeah. I mean, God, thank you. I'm like, wow, these people are so open and wonderful. And I'm thrilled to be coming into an environment where to feel needed,
You are needed.
For sure.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
That's so rare, I feel when you're in LA and New York, it's like there's 60 billion people fighting for space and trying to be creative. And, I'm just pleased to be somewhere where I feel like I can be of use.
We need you.
Yeah. And hopefully from here, we'll have a merry little band of actors where we can actually, get some stuff.
Oh, I see things you have no... Laura, we already had some of these little vision. You hearing the guy out there now?
Now I hear. Is that a weed eater?
Y'all, living in the suburbs, like, there is never a moment where there's not a machine blowing something, doing something.
Yeah. Like a leaf blower.
Lawnmowers, leaf blowers, wood shredders, chipper this, I'm like, noise pollution. What was I going to say? Yeah, I feel like there's room to do like pretty incredible unique things where there is not the oppression of the greater standardized industry sitting on top of you. Like in Hollywood, you are pressurized by like these already pre-existing rules and standards, which all work in their own way, but they don't really lend themselves to like what we're talking about here, which is like an incubator community where people are beginning to create, develop, cast each other, market. You know, there's a huge movement here going on that I don't think we quite see yet. I see it.
I feel it too.
Yeah. This guy, however, what'd you say?
The wee guy, he doesn't see it. It's okay.
He's like, no idea what they're talking about.
But he's happy not to be sitting at a desk, maybe.
Or maybe like, whoa, I feel like there's a bigger vision or something going on
There's
in
something
there.
going
Like,
on
what's
in there.
what's
And he
happening?
wants to check it out, maybe.
Yeah, and also, you know, it's no joke. Ask any mother on the planet if it takes a village.
Takes a village.
Nobody is raising anything on their own. And if they are, they're so tired and taxed and borderline mentally unstable because it's too hard. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with leaning on other people creatively. Like I became such an isolationist, is that a word? In LA, and such a producer in a one-woman show. You know, it's just like, it's exhausting.
I've been learning. I feel like I've just been learning lessons this whole time on things. That's another one. Yeah, it's not. It can't be on one person. You're never gonna do it alone.
No.
You gotta lift others up, and
And-
with that, they'll lift you up.
Yeah.
And to that point, really, Guy, I know
he's excited.
clearly I'm not alone. To that point, I think it's a skill to choose who you surround yourself with.
Yeah, it is.
Point in case.
He could
just
be
wants to
lovely.
join.
We don't know him. He might just be.
He's
really
actually awesome. He's so nice. He'll come over and have conversations with me while I'm like voice texting Laura. I'm like, yeah, so I'm going to send you the script. And he's like, how are you today? And I'm like, second guy, Laura, blah, blah, blah. It's so bad because he's so nice. But my point is like, it's a skill. And I think, you know, we grow up or we are trained or we're just you're handed a family, you know, and then you're sent to a school where you have teachers and people around you. But at a certain point in time, you get to choose who you surround yourself with. Don't let habit or force dictate who you spend your time with. Pick the people that do the things you want to do, think the things that you think are possible, and operate on the level that you want to operate. It's no accident that right before I met you guys, I was like, I am done doing everything for everyone all the time. Laura, I swear, I'm just like, who is this person?
I swear.
Yeah, what? I share that.
That's even better. When it doesn't even feel like you're doing anything. Other people might be like, oh my God, she needs me to like email her at least once a week. I'm like, every day at 8:00. People, because you guys are always like, all right, here's what I did yesterday. But this is what I mean. I don't have to be like, did you do the thing we discussed that I'm not paying you to do and that neither one of us is making money off of? You're just like, I did this thing because I know it's the next step in the process of production and that it's going to help the overall vision, which excites me. So I'm in. Here's the task. It's just such a pleasure not to have to like outline that for someone, do 90% of the steps and then hand it over to them to do the last 10% that I'll have to follow up on.
That does sound, the experience you just described, I have experienced many times before though. So. And
I chose very recently not to be like that and not to pick those people anymore. And it's working. It's like a real pleasure. So my suggestion to people like me who are control freaks and think they need to do everything and don't know how to allow enough space for other people to help. It's like, you know, mostly your own fault when that happens. It's like, I can do it. I got it. Which is something I learned from being deathly ill. You know, I'm sorry, but I need to survive. So I'm sorry, I have to survive. So don't, and it served me. It saved my life. Now it's like, okay, that's not saving your life anymore. You're just literally pissing people off. So let's leave a little room for other people to do things so you can go meditate for 20 minutes so that you're functional. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, I can't take downtime because I have to do everything. No, you don't. You have to take downtime so that you don't do everything, Right. Here I am screaming at the computer again.
No, it's not screaming. It's passionate. And yes. So, well, we're just glad we found you and you found us and arranged itself in such a way.
I'm trying to think of how like the Athens Film Fest came across my radar. Oh, I do know. Because at the point in time where I was like, where the heck am I going to live? Like the big cities aren't working for me anymore. And I started to tick my boxes. I'm like, let me just take a drive to Athens and see if it's the same town it was when I went there in the 90s. So P.S., I did a lot of theater in Highlands, North Carolina. And all the musicians from the pit were from Athens. So I would come down to Athens and spend time. And I almost moved there in my 20s. And I actually had to go back and read my journals to figure out why I didn't end up there because I was moving. And I found a journal entry that's like, oh my God, Athens, Georgia, blah, blah, blah. This is what I mean by coincidences. I was living in New York and I was an actress and I was just about to start yoga teacher training. And I had been studying with this one school and it was like my thing. And then I had a boyfriend in Athens and I was like, I'm not moving to Athens for a boy. It's not happening. So we were visiting each other. And one of my visits, he would go to work. We would break up when I got there so that we could give each other space. We're like, we're not dating. At the end of the day, we'll see if we want to go out to dinner together. It was like this great strategy, actually. So we would break up. He'd have his day. I'd go like be an Athens person. Loved it. And I got lost one of these days. This is in the 90s where I did not have a cell phone and it was getting dark. And I was like, what the heck time is it? So I go up to this window and I'm like, and I see it's like 5 to 5. And I'm like, oh, I better get back. I'm like, what is this place? It says Integral Hatha Yoga, which is my yoga studio from New York.
I've been there in New York. I've been to class there. Sorry.
Teacher training begins October 15th. I was like, what? So I'm like, that's it. I'm moving to Athens. I'm going to train to teach yoga. And like fast forward 10 years, I'm like, I live in LA. I have Lyme disease. What is happening? I have to go back in my journals. And I went back into my journals and I saw, oh my God, my yoga studio's there. I have something to be there for. I can have independence and a life. Next page. I went on an audition in Hollywood today. I'm like, how hard it must have been to follow me in my 20s. I didn't even record in my journal what happened. I just got on a plane and went to LA. Like, oh my God. No regrets, but there's a lot of...
So the whole point of this was you're going to say, how did you figure out the Athens Film Festival was happening? Not the whole point, but we started this conversation so we come to the full circle of
So I drove myself to Athens on a whim thinking like, remember all the magical stuff that used to happen there? Let's go see if it's like that. I'm not going to tell all the stories that happened, but man, they're insane. Just in my first... What?
We want to hear them all eventually.
We should just have a podcast called like Insane Athens Synchronicities.
Okay.
And so I had like 3 or 4 of them that just one of them alone, you're like, stop, wait, what? That happened? So I had like 4 of them back to back. And I was like, okay. And one of them was walking by Cine and seeing, oh, there's a film festival here. Maybe I should go to that. So I Googled it. And then it was like, we need volunteers. And I was like, well, I'm definitely signing up for that because I want to meet all the people. And what better way to be really immersed than to give your time and your energy, because that is where real connections are made, not looking hot on the red carpet, I mean, whatever, fine. But there's so much pressure that comes with that. You relieve the pressure for things when you volunteer to be of service.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I've noticed that too. It's just like gets you in the space and you learn.
Yes, and you're not trying to prove anything, you know? You're just like part of a movement. People underestimate how important that is.
Being part of a movement.
I love that.
Yeah, people do underestimate that.
And I think just like helping.
Yeah.
And I just found that the stuff about Cine, because I feel like that's just such a special place.
Yeah.
To me, energetically.
Speaking of synchronicities, I remember when you signed up, I was like, whoa, like she's got like a track record that's awesome. I was like, she's got a studio, like, and I reached out to you and I was like, hey, I'm kind of new at this. Like, what's it looking like on your end of things? And you were like, no, this looks pretty good. You know, just make sure that you're communicating. And I was like, thanks. Like, I was like, hey, this cool lady said I'm doing great.
You did. I remember we were sitting, my friend who you met, my friend Lexi, who was at Oxford, we were at her table. Yeah. Because we were cat sitting and house sitting for her. And you were just like, oh, I don't know, am I doing this in a way that people understand what I'm communicating? And then he was like, Lora, this girl, Brooke, she says I did a good job.
I was like, yes. I was like, she knows what she's talking about.
You know, this is very interesting. I was talking to somebody about imposter syndrome today. You guys heard the term imposter syndrome, right? Right. Everyone has it. Everyone has it. If you don't have it, you're an imposter. So the fact that you're sitting there doing that, I'm like sitting with my mom at her kitchen table and I'm like, Mom, these people running the film fest are so nice. I don't know what to do. Like, I was so in shock that you guys wanted me to like be part of the team. And I do come with a track record and I have been places and I have studied things and I have been part of huge productions, but like, I guess none of that matters to me if people aren't nice or if people aren't like, real. You don't have to be nice all. You could be a jerk. If you mean it, that's cool. You know, but like,
hey, but that's as long as
I know what's actually happening and everything it just has felt.
That's true. But don't pretend to be nice if you're being a jerk.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, that's the main thing I find about Athens. It's just like, I don't encounter it. It may be there, but I don't encounter pretense or people faking it, or like, for me, it just feels very easy and natural. And like, it's just funny that you're sitting over there marveling at me being part of it. And I'm over here marveling at you guys wanting to, you know, I just feel
in tables.
Yeah.
And I feel as though people need to understand that you get to design that in your life. You also get to walk away from things that don't feel like that. I know sometimes you need a paycheck and sometimes you have to stay somewhere, but then go volunteer for something that's not about money to cultivate the kind of energy you want in your life to leave the things that make you money. It's not just going to happen with you being like, I hope, I mean, it might, but like, you have to get out there and experience the level of energy, and like, you're in charge of that by saying yes or no. And I know, yeah.
Me too.
We don't really know that, you know, we don't get taught that. And when you're in a job or something where you're like, I can't quit this, I have to make money, or I need to, you know, you have responsibilities. It is tricky to like extend the further energy, but let me just explain, like, you can exist in a tired, stressed out paradigm forever and you'll just get worse. Or you can like open up slightly. And even once you say, oh, there's another way of doing things, it'll start happening. But then you take a step and say, I'll just show up at this event and see what, like, that's it. It snowballs just like this, you know? And I was very scared to leave the paradigm I was in Los Angeles. And it really was not working. And I was almost out of money and immune system entirely. So, yeah. But, you know, do what you got to do, everybody.
I know that we've been talking for a while, so I think we could keep going for like another.
I know. I got to go teach class.
Yeah. But I don't want to stop, but we have to stop. So why don't you just, I will do this I will try to snip this out separately. But I will also try to put this whole thing somehow somewhere, because this is, I don't know, maybe no one's going to care, but I think we have had some wonderful moments. But if you also just want to reiterate, so that I can just snip to when your class is, and people could sign up, the who, what, when, where, why.
Yes. All right. So what's happening is we're all coming together at Flying Squid's new space, which is looking awesome. I'm very excited about that. To do an on-camera acting workshop Saturday and Sunday. It's 3 hours each day. And it's September 28th and 29th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll take a break in the middle. It's going to be half experiential, meaning we will get down on the floor and do all the actor things. We'll do the breathing. We'll do the, the miracle-y stuff. We'll do the sense memorying. We'll do a little bit of script analysis, cold reading, working with character breakdowns. We'll break, and then we're going to do a lot of self-tape technique. Everybody's going to get a chance to tape. And there are 3 ways to join. You can just join the workshop to have the experience, and pay like the flat fee. You can join and get edited video so that you walk away with a great self-tape of yourself from the day. And I will also am offering a 3rd little tier there where you can just pay a slight amount of money more and grab a headshot, because I'm a headshot photographer. So it's a great thing for you to be able to, in one day, have an experience, walk away with a self-tape and a headshot. If you've been trying to launch your acting career, all it's going to take is 6 hours on that weekend, and you'll walk away and go set up your Actors Access and fire away at auditions. You can have everything. So it'll be a really fun and emotional and meaningful and deep experience. And then we'll flip-flop to that other side and be like, here's how you get it done, right? So you're going to get a balance of both. We'll have a little break in between, and then maybe we'll all go out and get some delicious food afterwards.
Yay!
Yeah, so you can find all of the information on StudioPCI.com, and just go on up to classes and then hit the Athens tab, and there's a little register button there. Or you could also just email me directly at info@StudioPCI.com. And and same thing on Instagram. You can DM there if you'd like, Studio PCI. It's all the same everywhere. And I'm Brooke. Yeah, and I can't wait to meet people and breathe in the room and have no preconceived notion of what's going to happen except connection, growth, and some work.
Yes. Let's get to work.
Thank you. Yes, let's get to work.
Invest in yourself, people. Take the class.
Yeah.
Woo! All right, thank you. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye. Everyone say goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you for having me. This is